Let's talk about one of the biggest risks in any deal. What happens if the other side just doesn't deliver? Today, we're diving into the financial safety net that's built for exactly that nightmare. It's called the performance guarantee, and if you've ever been in a situation where failure is not an option, you're going to want to see how this works.
All right, here's our game plan. We'll kick things off with the basic problem, broken promises. Then we'll see how a guarantee swoops in to solve it. We'll meet all the key players, walk through how you actually get one, take a peek behind the bank's doors, and wrap up with why a good set of rules makes this whole system tick.
You know, at the core of any agreement, whether it's a massive corporate contract or just a simple deal, there's always this one big risk. It's that simple but potentially catastrophic idea that someone might not hold up their end of the bargain. Just picture this for a second. You hire a contractor for a big project. You hand over a fat check to get things started, and then, poof, they're gone. The job's half finished, your money has vanished. That right there, that's the exact kind of performance risk we're talking about today. So how do you actually protect yourself from that? Well, you need a solid financial backstop. And that is exactly what a performance guarantee is. It's this really clever, elegant solution that makes sure you're not the one left holding the bag. So what is it exactly? A performance guarantee is basically a promise from a third party, almost always a bank, that says, hey, if our client doesn't do what they promised, we'll pay you. And see that phrase, independent undertaking? That's everything. It means the bank's promise stands on its own, completely separate from your original deal. And that's what gives it so much power. And that independence leads us to the single most important feature of these things. They are demand guarantees. If you get this one idea, you get why they're such a game changer. Okay, here's the difference. Normally, if your contractor flakes, you'd have to take them to court, prove they broke the contract. It's a whole long, expensive mess. A demand guarantee completely flips the script. Your claim isn't against the contractor. It's against the bank. If you submit a claim that follows the rules of the guarantee, what's called a complying demand, the bank has to pay you, period. They pay first, and then they go deal with their client later. It's a huge shift. All right, so to really see this in action, we need to know who's who in the zoo. Let's meet the cast of characters in this little drama. You know, at its core, the setup is beautifully simple. For most direct guarantees, the whole thing is built around a relationship between just three key players. You can think of it like a triangle of trust. Each one has a very specific job to do. First up, you've got the applicant. That's our contractor from before, the one making the promise. To make that promise credible, they go to their bank, who becomes the guarantor. The guarantor is the one putting up the money. And finally, all of this is for you, the client. You are the beneficiary. You're the one who's protected by this whole setup. But what about international deals, right? Someone in another country might say, yeah, I don't know your bank. I want a guarantee from a bank I trust here. That's when a fourth player joins the game. The applicant's bank becomes a counter-guarantor. They basically tell a local bank in the other country, hey, issue a guarantee on our behalf, and we've got your back. This creates what we call an indirect guarantee, and it's all about building local trust. Okay, let's switch gears from theory to practice. Let's say you're that contractor. How do you actually get one of these guarantees issued for your client? What's the process? It really boils down to a clear three-step journey. First, you, the applicant, have to submit a really detailed application. Then the bank does its homework, its own internal review. And finally, if everything checks out, boom, the bank issues the guarantee. Now that first step, the application, this is where you cannot mess around. To get an ironclad guarantee, you have to be precise. I mean, every little detail matters. The exact names, the contract number, the amount in currency, and this is critical. You have to define a super clear expiry date and spell out exactly what someone needs to do to make a claim. Get all this right, and you'll save yourself a world of headaches later. Okay, so you've hit send on your application. What's happening now? Let's pull back the curtain and see what the bank, your guarantor, is really thinking about. You have to remember, the bank is taking on a real risk here, so they're going to do a pretty thorough check. They're mainly looking at three things. First and foremost, your creditworthiness. Are you good for the money if they have to pay out? Second, what kind of security or collateral can you put up? And finally, they're going to make sure the deal itself is legit to protect themselves from fraud. They want to know they're backing a real transaction. So once the bank says yes, it issues the guarantee. And the rules are incredibly specific about when that happens. A guarantee is officially issued the second it leaves the guarantor's control. That's it. The moment that email is sent or that courier picks up the envelope, the bank is on the hook. It's an irrevocable promise from that exact moment.
We've mentioned rules a few times, and for good reason. This whole international system only works because everyone has a shared playbook. This is one of those times where the fine print is actually your best friend.
For this system to work globally, everyone needs to speak the same language. The two gold standards out there, both from the International Chamber of Commerce, are the URDG 758, that's the rulebook for demand guarantees, and ISP 98, which covers a similar instrument called a standby letter of credit. When you reference these rules in your guarantee, you're plugging into a trusted global system. And that's really the whole point. Having these standard rules makes the entire system predictable and trustworthy. When everyone agrees to play by URDG rules, for instance, you don't have to argue over what a complying demand is. The rules already define it. It clarifies everyone's job and just massively cuts down on disputes. It's the common language that builds trust in global business.
So you can see, a performance guarantee is so much more than just a document. It's a powerful tool that turns a simple promise into a cold, hard financial commitment. It lets people do business, take risks, and build amazing things together with a whole lot more confidence. Which kind of leaves us with one last question to chew on. In a world that's built on contracts and promises, what is the ultimate price of trust?